AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. Stock's gone up about 138% over the past 5 years or so. But here's the thing, okay? So, there's really poor sentiment in regards to AMD right now. I think it's a tremendous opportunity to be a buyer of AMD right now, but I understand there's a really poor sentiment. Nvidia's destroyed AMD's returns over the past 5 years, but I do think things are going to flip over this next 5 years. And the reason being is I look at how Lisa Su's positioned the company, the acquisitions she's made over the past couple years here, and I think she's actually positioned AMD now to actually benefit extensively over this next 5 years. That does not mean Nvidia is going to lose. I just believe over this next 5 years, AMD's stock price performance is going to far outstrip Nvidia. Nvidia's already seen a lot of their, fruits of their labor. Let's just call it that. AMD has not really. Their game is coming up. Like Nvidia's in their Super Bowl right now. AMD is going to be playing their Super Bowl over the next few years here. So there's a difference there you got to understand, right? Additionally, if you look at like Jensen, right? Jensen delivered OpenAI their first supercomputer way back in 2016. Elon Musk was there to receive it, right? If we go back to 2016, like Lisa Su was trying to stabilize AMD's business model and get them back on the right track, right? AMD was around a $2 stock if we go back about a decade ago, right? And so the companies were in a very different place. So Jensen kind of had a I don't want to call it an unfair advantage. It was completely a fair advantage, but he had an advantage nonetheless, right? And Nvidia really capitalized on that. But Lisa Su's been playing catch up ever since, and she's done a heck of a job catching up, right? And now they've caught up so much where they're now beating Intel across the board, right? And additionally, I think they're coming for Nvidia next. That does not mean they're going to turn Nvidia into Intel, okay? So let's not get too excited about this. But the way I see her positioning the company, the product lineup, the whole strategy, the acquisitions they've done recently with ZT acquisitions and some of the other acquisitions in the software space, I see them positioning to really get in a serious battle with Nvidia over this next 5 to 10 years. And who's got more to gain out of that battle? There's no question AMD's got way more to gain. Nvidia's got way more to lose, right? Like they're in their Super Bowl right now. Like they got a lot to lose. AMD's got nothing to lose here. That's special. And so I think they're going to be a very formidable competitor over this next many years. And once again, I don't even need AMD to beat Nvidia. Like if AMD just competes well in this marketplace over the next, many years, this is going to go very, very well, right? No, back to the poor sentiment in regards to AMD stock. The reason is the stock hasn't gone anywhere for 3.5 years. It's lower today than the stock price was 3.5 years ago. But you got to remember, they've done a lot of acquisitions over that time, right? That has diluted shareholder value. There's no debating that, right? So that's something you have to consider when looking at a stock like this. It's somewhat of a reality. Yeah, the stock hasn't gone anywhere for 3.5 years, but it's also, you got to keep in mind, like they've done some major acquisitions that diluted shareholder value. So that's, kind of held down the stock, at least in my opinion, quite a significant way. But through the Xilinx deals, ZT Systems, all these deals they're putting through, once again, Lisa Su's positioned this company for the next 10, 20 years. And you're going to see a massive payoff, in my opinion, from all these deals that are going through. And so it's been paying for the shareholder base of AMD that have been in the stock for years and years. But people like myself that are kind of tying this out right and are getting, buying the stock very heavily right now, I think we're going to be looking very, very, very well. And also remember, right, if you look at my best stock in the public count, Tesla up 2,500%. Remember, when I was buying Tesla stock back in the day, that stock hadn't done anything for 5 years. People said Tesla was going to be dead money forever, right? They had just given up on that stock, and the sentiment could not have been more poor when I was buying a Tesla stock back in the day, right? And I think it's worked out okay. Now that does not mean I expect AMD to return me a 2,500% return over the next number of years here, but do I think AMD has 3x, 5x, or maybe even 10x potential over the next many years? I do believe that, based upon their product lineup and everything they have going on here. Now, I've been talking about a lot about AMD stock recently, including this video I did 5 days ago. If you didn't get to check out this one, watch this video. Keep buying AMD stock and don't stop. It's about a 30-minute video there. It goes very in-depth in AMD. check that one out when this video is over here today if you want to learn more about AMD. Hey there, it's Jeremy. I hope you really enjoyed that clip here today. What I'm showing you right now is 1000xstocks.com. This is a specific software that has been designed to save you time. It's a one-stop shop for long-term investors to know how the company is doing, listen to what management has planned for the future, and compare companies next to each other. Which big tech is the most undervalued? Is that small cap company you heard of actually worth investing in? Or are there red flags? Get the front row to the conference call, be able to access the management, which information is right to make an educated decision. Get all that information through 1000xstocks.com. You can access that through the description area. You can apply for access to 1000xstocks.com, or you can go to 1000xstocks.com. Alrighty, let's get into some AMD.
To the best investing podcast in the world. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about AMD's new and secret $200 billion business that the market doesn't even know exists at the moment. The market is basically ignoring the vast potential of AMD's FPGA technology, which paves the way for an uncontested $200 billion business. This would be the second time Lisa Su decides to pursue an opportunity that the market doesn't understand. And the last time she did that, a decade ago, the stock went up 25x. So let's get deep into it. Since acquiring Xilinx, AMD has been positioning itself to lead what is projected to become a $200 billion plus market.
You know, one of the things that I don't think AMD gets enough credit for is how diversified their business is and how much more diversified this business is going to get over the next 5 or 10 years. You know, Nvidia, and I saw an argument made around Nvidia recently, and this is no shots at Nvidia. I'm just pointing out different things I see out there. But essentially the thought was, oh, Nvidia is so dominant, obviously, in the data center market right now with all these big tech companies, right? And we're kind of talking about exposure and how much exposure you get to Nvidia and how concentrated Nvidia is on that specific segment, right? And I understand like that could be seen as a positive for right now, but I'm like, as soon as these companies, you know, let's say start worrying more about cost, and that could be as soon as the back half of this year in 2026, suddenly everybody's going to look at Nvidia and see that as a major risk because they're going to be saying 88% of your business or 90% of your business is all concentrated in this one area that all of a sudden, let's say in the back half of this year or next year, companies start worrying about costs a little bit, right? And so AMD's got a very well diversified business with a lot of major growth opportunities, and AMD's going to end up, in my opinion, position themselves where they're going to be the one to likely undercut the market a bit. And so if these companies are looking for a more affordable solution that is still extremely high end, I think AMD is going to win a lot of business there, probably starting in the back half of this year and going all the way into 2026, 2027, 2028. So I just don't think AMD gets enough credit for that or enough respect. But I think if we fast forward 18 or 24 months from now, it'll be a completely different story, and I think people will understand the point I just made here.
By the end of this decade, AI at the edge. This strategy is powered by FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays, the breakthrough technology brought in through the Xilinx acquisition that enables chips to dynamically reconfigure.
A lot of people forget AMD bought Xilinx, which was a very fast-growing company when AMD bought it. And, you know, Lisa Su and AMD, they didn't just spend all that money. Just to spend all that money. Xilinx has to have some incredible technology, which is why AMD was willing to make that purchase. And I was looking into Xilinx before AMD bought them, actually. Quite a bit before and I thought Xilinx had some pretty amazing tech. I was just trying to figure out, like, you know, what's their long-term TAM and things like that. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden AMD ended up, you know, rumors started and then AMD bought it.
In real time, this property promises to enable FPGAs to run neural nets more efficiently in smaller devices. Looking ahead, AI will expand beyond data centers, integrating into billions of edge devices. Running AI on these devices demands specific capabilities, namely superior energy efficiency and versatility. FPGAs excel in this regard, far surpassing other chip types, and Xilinx stands as the undeniable leader in this domain. The runner-up by a wide margin is Altera, which was acquired by Intel in 2015. With Intel struggling to remain competitive across the board, AMD Xilinx has now blue skies ahead ahead. As a result, the acquisition has positioned AMD far ahead of its traditional rivals, effectively making it nearly impossible for them to challenge AMD in this rapidly growing space over the next 5 years. AMD's...
When it comes to Intel, by the way, if you're wondering, how did Intel get into all these problems? And Intel's received so much government money over the past few years, it's ridiculous, right? And you got to ask yourself, if they didn't receive all this insane amount of government money, would this company still be afloat? That's a debate to be made there. But you got to understand, one of the big reasons that Intel's in the tougher position they're in is because of AMD. Let's not forget that, right? We could also blame it on Intel making a lot of blunders and mistakes over the past number of years, but a huge part of that is AMD is just very well positioned, and Lisa Su's really outpunched Intel for the last, I would say, at least 5 years.
FPGA division, which is actually called their embedded business segment, is set to evolve into a crucial part of the AI industry, similar to how Nvidia's GPUs dominate the data center market today. The AI at the edge market is yet to blossom, but once it does, AMD stands to benefit disproportionately. To understand why FPGAs are crucial to this new era of AI, we first need to explore how they work. A field programmable gate array, FPGA, is a type of integrated circuit that can be reprogrammed after manufacturing to perform a specific task. Unlike CPUs and GPUs, which are designed with a fixed architecture for general purpose or parallel computing tasks, FPGAs can be customized for specific workloads on the fly. This reconfigurability makes them ideal for tasks that require optimization on the go and at the hardware level. In the context of AI, FPGAs offer a unique advantage. Neural networks which power AI models require a large number of mathematical operations to process inputs and generate outputs. These operations are computationally intense and require specialized hardware for efficient execution. FPGAs allow for the creation of custom circuits that can directly map AI operations such as matrix multiplications and convolutions directly to hardware, dramatically reducing power consumption, latency, and computational cost compared to general-purpose CPUs and even GPUs. In addition, FPGAs excel in low-latency environments. This is a crucial factor for AI inference, especially when running on devices at the edge. Think smart cameras, drones, and autonomous vehicles, and even satellites, as I will explain in the coming few minutes.
And when it comes to Lisa Su, she did a great interview, I don't know if it's a month ago or a few months ago, and she was really talking about, right now we're in a massive stage of training of these AI models and LLMs and whatnot, right? And NVIDIA's very well positioned there. Clearly, that's why NVIDIA is trading at a $3 trillion market cap or whatever, right? If they weren't well positioned, they wouldn't be a $3 trillion plus market cap. But Lisa Su makes an argument that inference is going to be way bigger market long term, and she makes a very compelling case that AMD is actually the most well-positioned company for inference, right? Now, that could be debated that NVIDIA is more well-positioned for inference, or not. And also, I think AMD chips can be used for training. Do keep that in mind, right? It's just the bigger long-term opportunity, in her opinion, and it honestly makes sense, will be inference over training. And if AMD is true that they're the most well-positioned, what do you think that opportunity is for AMD? That's likely a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, right? So, that's something to kind of keep in mind here. And let's say they're not. Let's say that it's a battle between Nvidia and AMD when it comes to really the long-term inference game. Well, I think there's going to be enough money to go around for both of those companies, right? So just keep that in mind, right? It's not like one company wins and everybody else has to lose. It's not the way this works.
Where decisions need to be made in real time. While GPUs and CPUs are fantastic for training models in large data centers, FPGAs are a much better fit for the needs of inference in small power-constrained devices. Their adaptability allows them to execute highly specialized AI functions on demand, attaining levels of efficiency that other compute engines can't possibly. While Nvidia has made significant strides in AI, particularly in data center, its GPUs are not optimized for edge computing. Nvidia's chips are power hungry and require specialized infrastructure to deploy, which makes them less than ideal for devices like smartphones, IoT devices, and autonomous drones.
Yes, in another thing that happens to businesses, this matters significantly, is when they build up such a massive business, let's say Nvidia with what they're focused on in the data center, right? Where's Nvidia's best time spent right now. It's just trying to figure out how to fit even more chips into these data centers and capitalize as much on that opportunity as they possibly can right now, right? But for these smaller opportunities, these edge opportunities, right? And maybe even on a device level opportunities, for Nvidia, that's just not the most well spent time right now, which then leaves an opportunity in a market. And that's where a company like AMD comes in. They say, hey, you know what? We have the opportunity to do this. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's work on this edge product, right? Let's work on this device and that device. And yeah, it's not going to add up to $10 billion in revenue right now, but long term, you get more and more of these wins, and it adds up to a lot long term, right? So that's just something to kind of keep in mind when a company's going through just an insane cycle like obviously they are right now, because you can only focus on so much as a company, and you can only focus on so much. I mean, Amazon, I'm sure they would have loved it if the Fire Phone could have been the big thing, but Amazon had a lot going on when they launched that Fire Phone, right? They had an e-commerce business that was booming. They had an AWS business that was booming. And so the Fire Phone, like they probably saw that as an opportunity. You know, smartphones were taking off and all this stuff, but were they able to really execute? No, they weren't able to execute because they had some other much bigger stuff they were going after at that particular time, and then that allowed companies like Apple and Google and others to obviously win.
On the other hand, AMD's FPGA technology is tailor-made for these environments where power efficiency and real-time processing are critical. This is not to say that Nvidia won't be able to create similar technology in time. However, Xilinx's lead in the FPGA market is further compounded by AMD's Chiplet platform. Xilinx's FPGAs are already widely used in industries such as telecommunications, automotive, and aerospace, but their true potential lies in the rapidly growing field of AI. The combination of AMD's chiplet architecture and Xilinx's FPGA technology enables AMD to create highly efficient, low-power solutions that can run AI inferences at the edge with greater flexibility than Nvidia's monolithic GPU designs or than of any other competitor. Indeed, FPGAs on their own won't be particularly useful for AI at the edge applications. Rather, they need to be attached to other general purpose compute engines, and that's where AMD excels. They've been perfecting their chiplet platform for over a decade now. Although AMD has been relatively quiet regarding advancements on the embedded business segment, that's the one that englobes the Xilinx operation, in Q1 2024, AMD Lisa Su shared some insightful remarks.
Versal Gen 2 adaptive SoCs are the only solution that combine multiple compute engines to handle AI pre-processing, inferencing, and post-processing on a single chip, enabling customers to rapidly add highly performant and efficient AI capabilities to a broad range of products. We were pleased to...
I think it's important I mention this, right? Because Antonio here mentions about, AMD kind of being a little quiet on this recently. And one way to take that is, they probably don't have any progress they're making there. They don't have, they're not focused on that or something like that. No. Shh. You want to be quiet. Like, if AMD sees this massive opportunity for the next 10 years, right? Why would they be loud about it in a time period where they're making incredible progress and tell everybody about, like, hey, this is a big opportunity, when they know they got serious competition from Nvidia, right? If they go ahead and talk about they're making progress here, progress there, and they're announcing all this stuff, let's say years before you get that opportunity, other companies can pick up on that and be like, we need to focus there, right? So you kind of want to be quiet until the real market opportunity is there. And then you pop out, and all of a sudden everybody's like, whoa, they got this big thing going on, right? Kind of like, I think Nvidia was great at keeping a lot of what they had going on a little quieter for quite a while, right? It's not like AI and AI-related chips and GPUs that could be used for that just came out of nowhere, right? It was a little bit more on the down low. And then all of a sudden, when it was time for Nvidia to get out there and beat their chest about this big opportunity, they were there to do that, right? I see a very interesting phenomenon that could be going on with AMD over this next bit of time.
We joined at our launch by Subaru, who announced they adopted Versal AI Edge Series Gen 2 devices to power the next generation of their EyeSight ADAS system.
Some say that FPGAs won't fulfill their potential at the edge because they've been around for a while and nothing has happened yet. But Lisa's remarks demonstrate how AMD is making real progress towards the vision that I lay out in this video. AMD has the unique combination of leading FPGA technology technology and the capability required to integrate FPGA chips with any other compute engine at a marginal cost. Customers are already buying the products emerging from this structural advantage, which makes everything that I'm talking about in this video real. This underappreciated characteristic of the AMD thesis is what makes me most bullish about the company going forward. Indeed, in 2015, the world ushered Lisa Su to get into tablets. She decided to pursue a different route, which the world didn't quite understand back then, and now the stock trades 25 times higher than when I first invested. I see the same dynamic unfolding again. In turn, AMD's strategy to blend its existing CPU and GPU products with FPGAs is part of the endless applications of AMD's highly modular platform, which the market is also disregarding at present. AMD's chiplet-based platform, which allows for unprecedented modularity and adaptability, offers lower total cost of ownership for customers while providing more tailored solutions for a variety of workloads. As AI matures, it will likely require compute workloads that we can't imagine yet, but AMD's platform will be uniquely suited to capitalize on them.
Something I think is worth mentioning here is this is something that's not really talked about, and I think this is one of the most underrated things that Nvidia and AMD both have going for them over this next many years. If you think about where the most talented hardware and software engineers are going to want to go over this next 5 to 10 years, I think many of them are going to want to go to Nvidia or AMD. And the reason being is if you really just think about who's really selling the picks and shovels of this massive opportunity over the next 5-10 years, it's AMD and Nvidia. And if you think about who's going to be doing the most innovative work in the space over the next 5 or 10 years, it's those two companies, right? And so that also just kind of helps those two companies get such an unfair advantage, because the talent pool that those two companies are really going to attract over this next bit of time is really unparalleled. Because, and if you wonder, like, how are companies like Meta and Google able to attract such insane workforces, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? The reason being is the best workers looked at Google 15 years ago and they said, they got this opportunity, I got to be at this company. And that's how they were able to have such a great workforce. And that's how they built into a multi-trillion-dollar company, right? Same thing with Meta. They were able to attract such an incredible workforce at that company because people that are in the know in these industries are like, they want to work for a company like that. Like, man, this social networking thing's going to be huge, right? And so they were able to attract many of the most talented software developers in the world at Meta. When you really think about that company from, shortly after they founded Facebook, right, and got it up and running to even to this day, to a certain extent in regards to Meta, right? And you think about many of the best hardware engineers and software engineers, where did they want to go back? If you were in hardware engineering or software engineering back 2000 to 2010, what company did you want to go to back then? Apple. You wanted to go to Apple back then, right? Because they had this guy named Steve Jobs running the company, who they were doing a lot of innovative work. They were thinking differently over there, right? And they were working on a lot of the big stuff that was going to be the next big stuff for the next 20 years, right? And so that is an interesting phenomenon that no one really talks about in regards to AMD and Nvidia. The workforce those two companies have and are going to be able to attract for talent, oh my gosh, over this next 5-10 years is going to be ridiculous.
This adds a great component of asymmetry to the thesis. There is no guarantee that AMD's FPGA technology will work, but the optionality of AMD's platform is vast and will likely yield novel and lucrative businesses that we can't envision today. As the rising operating leverage seen in Q4 2024 demonstrates, this platform enables AMD to take on new businesses at a marginal cost, as you can see depicted on the graph on the screen now. On the graph on the screen now, you can see how at present we have the AI at the edge business coming to take shape. On top of AMD's chiplet platform, we have inference taking off, training taking off, and AI PCs. My point is that maybe all of these work, maybe only a few, but the rate at which AMD will be able to launch and capitalize on new huge businesses at a marginal cost will only go up over the next decade. Meanwhile, the real-world applications of AMD's FPGA-powered solutions are already coming into focus, albeit discreetly for now. In Q1 2024, AMD announced that its Versal AI core adaptive SoCs are now powering SpaceX's next-generation satellite.
I'm so disrespectful. How have I not smashed the like button for Antonio's video here? Come on, Jeremy, get it together, man. Oh my God.
This marks a significant milestone as the company's cutting-edge technology plays a crucial role in one of the most innovative space ventures today. Indeed, the deal with SpaceX supports the thesis that AMD's FPGA technology is uniquely suited. Thus, while traditional analysts have focused on the competitive dynamics between AMD and Nvidia in the AI training market, they have largely, and continue to do so, overlooked the massive potential of AMD's platform, particularly in inference. AMD's FPGA technology, combined with its chiplet architecture, provides a unique and scalable solution for powering AI inference at a fraction of the power consumption and cost of traditional GPUs. The inference market is poised to be one of the largest growing areas in AI over the next decade, and AMD's strategic investments in FPGA technology give it a clear path to dominate this space. With partnerships already in place with industry giants like Meta and SpaceX, AMD is well on its way to becoming the go-to provider of AI inference solutions. As the world's economy transitions into becoming an inference machine, AMD stands to reap the rewards of its vision and technological innovation. It's only a matter of time before the market realizes the true value of AMD's AI capabilities, and when that moment comes, the company's stock will likely see exponential growth. For long-term investors, my view is that the best is yet to come. But of course, this is not financial advice. These are merely my own thoughts and how I navigate my AMD position over time.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly view it as an incredible investment opportunity, right? Which is why I've been buying the stock heavily this entire year so far. All of 2025, I've just been loading. And the great thing for me in regards to AMD is when it starts going up, like, there's just no need to rush out of this one anytime soon. Because when you understand how many growth vectors AMD has over this next 5 or 10 years, it's ridiculous. And so to see AMD eventually become a $1 trillion company and then some days see them become a multi-trillion dollar company, I don't think it's crazy at all. When you really start adding up how many growth vectors this company has for this next, 5-10 years, it's just so much, untapped opportunity, so many new markets, and the company's just so well positioned. And one of their big competitors is really on the ropes right now, which is Intel, right? And their other big competitor is very, very focused on, a absolutely massive opportunity they got in front of themselves right now. But I think they're going to miss a lot of smaller opportunities right now because it's not their best need to focus on those because they got such other huge opportunities that I think AMD is going to sneak in there and just grab up a lot of smaller customers, a lot of smaller opportunities that the big dog's not worried about right now, right? And and obviously there's other companies that compete in this space, and there's going to be ARM, and there's going to be obviously what the Metas and the Amazons put out, but those companies are a little more focused on creating their own custom chips for their own specific solutions. So that is something to kind of keep in mind. They're playing a little bit of a different game than an AMD or an Nvidia or an Intel or companies like that. Okay, so fun times. And Broadcom's out there as well, right? And Broadcom's going to compete hard, and they'll have some, big wins, there's no doubt. But at the end of the day, I just look at everybody, and I'm like, AMD seems like the most perfect opportunity for this next number of years here. So